Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the late show here on Northwest Bourbon. We have a special interview for you guys tonight with Molly Brown Spirits, but I want to give you a Thirsty Thursday cheers and welcome you guys all to just having fun, hanging out, drinking some whiskey together. Cheers. I see there's already a bunch of you jumping in the chat, and I appreciate all of you guys. And I'm gonna bring Justin on in just a second. Mr. Jiggs is in the house. It's good to see you, buddy. Troy, man, always good to see you. Mr. Mom, welcome, buddy. Eric Gunderson is in the house. Good to see you, Eric. Make sure you guys are dropping links. If you guys look in the video description, you can already see the website and the Instagram profile and website for Molly Brown Spirits. Richie Z is in the house. Good to see you. A bunch of you guys already showing up to say what's up. Stacy, our local Irish expert, packing for Ireland. Goodness, you're gonna have to tell us about that trip, Stacy. JD is in the house. Good to see you, JD. Big Vic is here. Appreciate you sending people over, Big Vic. Slapshot Brian is in the house. Bourbon Baller Lee, you are here. I hope you got a good question lined up, Lee. Whiskey Uncensored here. BourBen, good to see you, man. Whiskey Wisdom, Matt, what's up, man? Good to see you. The Pecker House is in the house. What's up, Bill? Good to see you. I'm not going to waste any more time. I want to bring Justin on and talk to him. This is Justin from Molly Brown Spirits. Justin, do you already have something poured?
100% I do.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pour some Molly Brown Spirits. And while I do that and start getting my palate a little more acclimated, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, just a little background and how you got into whiskey?
Oh, definitely. So my name's Justin Lee. I am the co-owner and head distiller / only distiller here at Molly Brown. How did I get into whiskey? Well, I've always been a do-it-yourself kind of person. And when I started drinking bourbon way back when I was an undergrad, I decided that was something I wanted to do myself as well. So built my first still in college at Mississippi State. That's where I went for school for chemical engineering. And, started as a hobby. Then I moved out to Colorado to go to grad school. And that hobby just kind of grew and grew. And I started my first distillery in 2011 in Boulder. That was a little place called J&L Distilling. Had one other partner there. In general, 50-50 partnerships don't work out. So we'll say that we had creative differences and decided to part ways. And I started Molly Brown, moved into our building back in October of 2017, built the whole distillery ourselves, just me and my other active partner, Steve. Our four hands built the entire distillery. We actually have the largest pot still in the United States of America, 6,000 gallons. And, we started laying down bourbon, and here we are today.
6,000 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to write that down so we can make sure to get back to that if one of the audience members does not chime in, because the way I do things differently here is I utilize the audience more than any other social media platform, any podcast or YouTube channel. I feel like they greatly underutilize their whiskey enthusiast audience. And so it's kind of the fun for me not to spoil this before we go live. But what we're going to do is I've already dropped the link in the chat. And so when you're looking at the screen and you look at the right side, you see where it says comments.
For sure.
It should say private, and you should click on comments, and you can see all the people live watching us right now with comments. You see that?
Yep.
Awesome. So you can see the people watching us live commenting. So I want to invite you watching us live, the audience, to jump on screen, click the link. It's pinned to the top of the chat, and you are welcome to join the revolving door of questions. And that's where I'll invite you to jump on, ask a question. And once you and Justin are done having that conversation, then I'm going to kick you right off the screen. Because or else we're going to start talking about what kind of dog you have or what kind of car you drive. And we're here to talk about Justin and Molly Brown Spirits. But more incentive is that if you jump on and ask a question, you will get added on to the wheel of names. There's going to be a raffle at the end where we're going to give away prizes, and stick around and join in, participate. That way you can get in on the raffle, because right now you have a pretty good percentage of winning. Justin, what is in the glass? So Pecker House.
So, yeah, I see that. So I'm actually enjoying our high rye bourbon. So Molly Brown high rye bourbon. That is the reason that I make bourbon, is to make that bourbon right there. And so I'm enjoying a little of my own juice tonight.
Excellent. I am drinking the Molly Brown straight bourbon. It's got this great kind of a vintage style looking label on it. You want to tell us a little bit how you came up with this, the name Molly Brown, the logo, the label? Give me a little background on this bottle here.
For sure. So why do we name ourselves Molly Brown? So we wanted to have a name that's recognized both in Colorado, but also nationally, right? And we didn't want to be the same old Rocky Mountain, 5280, Mile High, 303. And more importantly, we really wanted to bring a feminine presence into our branding, because, you know, my partner, Steve, and I, we both were raised by strong women. And, you know, it's a guy's game out there as far as bourbon is concerned. It's Jim and John and Jack and Evan and Ezra. It's like, where are the ladies at? And plenty of women enjoy bourbon and enjoy, you know, whiskey in general. And so we thought, well, you know, who better than the awesome Molly Brown, the badass Molly Brown, to represent bourbon in the state of Colorado. And so that's who we went with.
That's awesome. Well, cheers to you. I just pour a glass here. That with you, sir.
Cheers. Cheers.
So, excuse me. That's, man. So I taste the vanilla and the wood up front. Then I get a little bit of a citrus note. When the finish starts kicking in, a citrus note starts coming through the palate. And there's a little bit of vanilla bean as well, along with the wood. Like I have a wood bowl that I have ice cream and lemongrass. I don't know.
I love that.
So when I was in Colorado last month, I went there to join in on my brigade change of command ceremony in Aurora. Flew in on Friday. Friday night, looked around to find a local craft distillery to visit. Found Molly Brown, went down there, had a few drinks with your bartender, Aaron. Had a great time. I tried everything that she would let me try. And then the next day had like a ceremony and all this stuff that I did with my Army unit. And then at the end of the day, we went out to dinner and did some stuff. And I'm like, oh, I've got a few hours before I go to bed. I'm just going to go back to Molly Brown, and because I enjoyed it so much the first time. And so the only 2 nights I was in Colorado, both nights, I went to Molly Brown and had a few drinks, and picked up a bottle of your straight bourbon. Do you want to tell us what else that you have on your bottle, your lineup? What other spirits?
For sure. So, I mean, first of all, Molly Brown, 100% Colorado, 100% grain to glass. You know, we start with whole grain out of Loveland, which is just north of Denver. We have our farming partners, Olander Farms, Root Shoot Malting. They grow the grain for us. We mill the grain ourselves in-house, ferment on the grain, and distill on the grain. We only age in full-size 53-gallon charred oak barrels. And so our core 3 lineup is our straight bourbon, which you've got there, the high rye bourbon, which I have, and spice bourbon, which is kind of a unique, fun little product we make. It's actually a 90 proof liqueur. So we start with our straight bourbon, and we add cinnamon, vanilla, and cloves to that and turn it into a liqueur. It's there's not another product like it out there. It's a lot of fun, and we like to call it a gateway bourbon or a starter bourbon. You know, you get people that are like, oh, I don't like whiskey. What have you got for me? I'm like, we got something for you. And, you know, even hardcore bourbon drinkers kind of enjoy it. It's a little change of pace, you know?
It is. It's, from what I remember, it is Christmas in a glass.
100%.
Lots of good spices and almost herbal notes, spices, and it's very flavorful. It really coats the palate. Josh, good to see you. Sunshine's in the house. Happy Friday Eve. Roger that. It's Thirsty Thursday. Molly Brown, Richie, thank you for dropping the link. And if any of you guys are watching, the link to their Instagram and their website they are in the video description below. And if anybody wants to jump on and ask a question, you can get entered into the raffle. Justin drives a Pinto. Man. Bill Reynolds is in the house. U.S. Army Vietnam veteran. It's good to see you, Bill. Always good to see you, man. The square-shaped bottle is nice. Yes, it is a very heavy, thick bottle. It's got an embossed silhouette of Molly Brown there. The same picture you kind of see on the front.
Yeah, thank you. It was important for us to have a bottle as beautiful as our bourbon to enjoy it out of. And, we feel that a lot of spirits bottles out there are just super busy. And we wanted something that wasn't all crazy. And so it's just a nice square bottle and, just a very simple label. Tells you what it is and it doesn't get all crazy. And then plus it's a nice heavy bottle. You can reuse it afterwards, have a nice decanter if you like.
Yeah, I think it's a gorgeous bottle. And one of the things I noticed in capital letters on the side, it says absolutely no chill filtering and huge block letters at the bottom there. You want to tell us about your distilling process a little bit?
Oh, definitely. So chill filtering is something that we feel very strongly about. And, your audience, all you guys out there, I'm sure that you're all well versed in bourbon. But if some of you aren't, what chill filtering does is if during the distillation process, more than alcohol comes over from the still, right? Did you lose me for a second there?
Yeah, we kind of froze for a second, but we I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So since bourbon is mostly water, over time those oils will tend to settle out of the bourbon, and they'll kind of collect along the bottom, and it looks a little unsightly. It looks like little globs of mold or something like that. I can't see it in one of my bottles here, but it can happen. And
right, little sediment, little spice, like don't cut the fat off my steak because that's where the flavor is, that kind of stuff.
100%. And so exactly. So the larger guys, they always chill filter so they don't have that problem on the shelf. But you're removing flavor there, and we never ever want to remove flavor from our bourbon. So we want people to know, hey, we're not chill filtering that. It's in there. If it starts to settle out, just give the bottle a quick shake, and then it dissolves right back in there, and you got all your flavor again.
Right on. And you mentioned you have a 6,000-gallon still, and it is the largest still in America.
The largest pot still in America that we're aware of. Yep.
Man,
so
that's a huge. So tell us about how that came about.
For sure. So you came to our distillery. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, so I didn't get to give you a tour, but maybe you got to peek through the window and see a little bit of what was going on back there.
Yeah, you could see a bit of it through the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you probably noticed that our distillery looks a little different than most craft distilleries that you've been to. So again, my background is chemical engineering. So, I designed and built our entire distillery, and, there's no pretty polished Vendome copper stills anywhere to be seen. we're stainless steel, and our both our fermenters and our pot still, our stripping still, were actually made from resourced dairy tanks. So we actually found some dairy tanks in Wisconsin that were built sometime in the late 40s, early 50s, and we repurposed those guys and added heat exchangers to them, added all the fittings that we needed to make the pot still. We've got 2 separate steam coils that we built and added to it, and then put a 10-foot column on the top of that guy. And so because our ethos is all about recycling and reusing. We don't want to throw anything away that doesn't need to be thrown away, or spend any extra resources on getting brand new shiny equipment. One, because we believe in utilizing everything to its fullest, and 2, we're a startup. We don't have $10 million to just throw down and start a new distillery.
Right.
And so, well, like I mentioned before, we ferment on the grain, then we distill on the grain in that stripping process in that pot still. And because it is a 6,000 gallon pot still, it takes 48 hours for us to actually do a strip. So what that does is, that grain is in there the entire time, and while that grain is being heated, it's having Maillard reactions. You're caramelizing the grain, so you're developing so much flavor over 48 hours that you can taste in the bourbon, and it's a lot fuller, richer flavor than you would get out of a product that's made either not distilled on the grain or just stripped in a column.
Got it. Makes sense. BourBen. Wait, you're not chill filtering. I said it says in huge letters on the side, never chill filtered. Oh, BourBen. Funny guy. Harvest has started for us as of yesterday. Oh man, Troy Man's in the wine industry, so
nice.
They're starting harvest season.
Good luck with that.
Yes, not chill. Chill. Hashtag no filters. Yeah, roger that.
Yeah.
Hope all's doing well. It's good to see all you guys. Feel free to jump in and ask a question if you want to get in on the raffle at the end of the interview. I wanted to ask you about your mash bill also.
For sure.
Yeah, do you have different? They're different mash bills for the different spirits, or?
Yep. So our straight bourbon is 75% corn, 17 rye. The remainder is malted barley, all from Olander Farms. And then our high rye bourbon, bare minimum corn it takes to make bourbon, which is 51%.
Right.
35 rye. The remainder is malted barley.
Oh wow! So it's 51% corn, 49% rye.
35 rye.
35 rye.
Malted barley. Yeah.
35 rye. Wow. Yeah, 35 high is a nice high rye.
Yeah.
And you said your spiced was the bourbon with added
correct
herbs and spices.
Yeah, we start with the straight bourbon, then we add cinnamon, vanilla, and cloves, and because it is a liqueur, you have to add sugar to it as well.
Okay.
And it's all whole spices, no extracts, no artificial colors or flavors or anything like that.
I like that. I like the no artificial stuff because there's too much of the artificial stuff that goes under the radar that people don't really know what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is asking, how wide is your distribution?
So currently we are distributed in the state of Colorado, but we are also available for shipping to 43 states.
Wow.
Yes. So we work with a company that actually ships out of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And so, we have to ship it to them, and then they have to ship it out, and they get, their little cut. So it's a little more expensive than if you purchased it in Colorado or at the tasting room. But,
Right.
it's, still reasonable. And we can get to most of the states except for the ones that don't believe in alcohol.
Man, a lot of those old laws, they need a new century update.
100%.
Right. You should be able to ship directly from your distillery to any online consumer, just like all other online consumable products.
Oh, we would love that so much. We are trying to get that to happen in the state of Colorado, but not surprisingly, the big boys out there, your Diageos, et cetera, are very much opposed to that. And so write your Congress people, talk to your lawmakers, and let them know that this is what we want. This is what we need, is the ability to have our local distilleries ship anywhere.
Roger that. And speaking of purchasing online, just want to show you guys have a really good looking website here.
Well, thank you. That's we actually just recently updated our website, so props to the folks that made that happen for us.
Yeah, so here's the straight bourbon that I'm drinking. There's the high rye bourbon that Justin's drinking. This is the spice bourbon that we've talked about a few times. I got to try it as, kind of like a 1 ounce sample. And then the next night, it was either the first or second night, I tried it in an old fashioned. And man, that was really fun to try in an old fashioned, the spice bourbon.
Yeah, it's fantastic too, and because it's sweet, you don't even need to add sugar to it in an old fashioned. Just little bitters and some little cherry and orange peel, and you got an old fashioned.
Yeah, you guys have just a really clean, really nicely produced website here. It's got everything you need right off the bat. There's no searching around for stuff. The picture quality is great. I like it.
Excellent. Yeah, and there was a link down at the bottom for purchase online. That's all you gotta do is click on it, and they'll let you know to get our product. And the one product that I didn't mention because it's not our core lineup, but it's available several times a year, is our single barrel select.
Yes. Yeah, I was asking Aaron. I was like, "Are you sure you don't have one like tucked underneath the bar for somebody special?" Because I kind of want to try this at barrel strength.
Yeah. So unfortunately,
I'm a guy who definitely enjoys a good barrel strength whiskey.
It's not available all the time yet. We're working to make sure that there's always a little bit out there. But whenever I go through and I taste barrels, sometimes there's just a special barrel, and I like to set it aside and say, hey, next time we do a single barrel select release, this is the girl that's going to the prom. Our next single barrel, our next release is coming out next month, and it's a fun one. We actually are finishing it in an amaretto barrel.
Is that going to be just a single barrel select? That's like one barrel finished in amaretto?
You got it. Yes.
Okay, because Bourbon Baller Lee, he is in the industry. He runs a liquor store up here. Good friend of the channel. Good friend of mine. He asked if there's any future cognac or Armagnac finishes coming out.
So nothing in the pipes right now, but it's certainly something that we want to do. And the finishes only take about 6 months to happen. So I just, have to source a nice barrel. It's really actually hard to get cognac and Armagnac barrels in Colorado of decent shape. So when I find a nice one, we'll make it happen.
Okay. Now I know that Colorado, if you look up distillery, like craft distilleries by state, Colorado, just like Washington, we're in the top 10 of the country. So you don't know any distilleries out there already making a brandy per se?
Brandies aren't super popular in Colorado. There's
really?
a couple. Yeah, there's a couple folks that are making some interesting products, but it I would say that there might be 3 or 4 brandies out of all the distilleries in Colorado.
Wow. Wow, that's wild. Because yeah, while I was there, of course, one of the things I looked up is how many craft distilleries are in Colorado. Because coming from Washington, where we were, up there in the top 5 for a long time, uh, I just I was surprised that Colorado has so many craft distilleries. You guys got some great people up there.
Yeah, we have a very fantastic family of distilleries here, and I think that comes from the fact that we have a lot of craft breweries, right?
Yeah.
And the craft brewing movement rolled straight into the craft distilling movement, and it's a good. I like to use
Transition.
the word family.
Yeah.
It's a great family that we have out there. Every time I go to events, I'm happy to see all of the folks out there, and we still have new distilleries that are popping up all the time. So it's fantastic. It's a great place to make spirits. And I'm probably going to upset some people here, but Kentucky is known for bourbon. Bourbon can be made anywhere in the United States of America,
Yep.
even Alaska and Puerto Rico and Hawaii. But I think that Colorado is the perfect place to make bourbon. We have the perfect conditions to grow grain. We have in our summer, got long, hot days with cool nights that really develop a lot of starch and flavor in the grains. And we have fantastic water. We don't have to deal with limestone, high pH water, and we have great conditions to make great bourbon. And I'm happy to be making bourbon here, and I think that we make some good product.
I am so glad you touched on that. We've got a lot of whiskey enthusiasts in the house. Stephen Scone is in the house. We'll get to your question in a minute, good sir. Richie Z is in the house. My Marine good friend Indpndt Joe is in the house. Good to see you, Joe. Lots of and like I mentioned, Bourbon Baller. Marvin is in the house. Whiskey 101. Eric Gunnarsson. All these guys are big enthusiasts, and so I would love it if you could kind of nerd out a little bit, because you said that you got your degree in chemical engineering, right?
100%. Yep.
And so in Washington State, we're almost right at sea level here, and you're at 5,000 feet, right?
Yep.
Roughly 5,000 feet. So if you can nerd out a little bit and explain to us what the difference is between not just distilling, but aging. And I don't know how much of the growing the grain goes into that difference in flavor profile as well. But distilling and aging, I know, has a big effect when you're talking about that altitude difference. And so if you could educate me a little bit on that, I would love to just whiskey nerd out with you for a minute on that one.
Yeah. So at 5,000 feet, we have roughly 20% less oxygen right here. All right.
Okay.
So at our atmosphere is roughly 0.8 of what sea level is. Right. So that affects everything differently. As a human being living here, right, you have to develop more red blood cells so that you can live here. So if you go down to sea level after you've been living here for a while, you can do a lot of things better because you've got more red blood cells.
Oh, man.
One of the great things is you actually can drink a lot more than your buddies at sea level can. So that's kind of fun. So what does that do for everything else, right? So as far as the growing of the grain, the oxygen content doesn't matter as much because plants, they absorb CO2 and produce oxygen, right?
Right.
So they don't care that much about the altitude. But what they do care about is the fact that we have these, again, long, hot days in the summer and cool nights. And so that really develops more starch, which we turn into sugar, which we turn into alcohol, and it just makes more flavor. But when the distillation starts, it changes the boiling points of everything, right?
Okay.
So water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level, but in Colorado, it boils at like 96 degrees Celsius. So 4 degrees Celsius lower. And so that allows for, especially when we're distilling on the grain, that allows for us to have a little bit lower temperature over a longer period of time in that huge pot still to develop all those flavors. And then it also allows us to have a little bit different ratio of product that's coming out of the still when we're doing our spirits distillation. So I didn't mention before, but we strip in a pot still, but we actually finish in a continuous column still. We actually have 2 continuous column stills. They're pack stills. And so one, we reject the tails, and the other, we reject the heads and get our spirit out of it. Right. So it affects the distillation a bit. And then the aging process is different as well. So when you put spirit into a barrel, we think of the barrel as kind of like a bucket, but the barrel breathes. It's a membrane. And so it allows oxygen in and allows spirit out, and you lose both water and alcohol that goes through the barrel. And that's what we call the angel share, right?
Right.
And the angel share is affected more by the climatic conditions, the fact that it's really dry in Colorado, than the altitude. But what does affect the altitude affects more of the oxygen that gets into the barrel, because again, you're getting 20% less oxygen. And so oxygen reacts with all the things that aren't alcohol in the barrel. So all those things that make your spirit taste fiery, so ketones especially, and organic acids, when oxygen reacts with them, you start to make aldehydes, which are flavors that give you those fruity flavors and those spicy flavors. And so it takes a little longer to age at altitude because you have a little bit less oxygen.
Right.
But it allows your spirit to mature better.
Wow.
So that's a whole lot of information real quick there.
So would you say it ages faster because of the having less oxygen in the air and the dry climate conditions, so it's not as humid? Would you say that makes it age faster or slower?
Slower. Yeah.
That's crazy. Thank you for that. That was fun.
Yeah.
My next kind of a nerdy craft whiskey guy type question is: you mentioned your relationship with your farmers with Olander Farms, right?
Yep.
So can you tell me about that relationship? Is it primarily just that one farm? And do they grow all of your grains or just particular grains? And I know in Washington State, to call it a Washington State craft whiskey, over 50% of your grains have to come from Washington. Is that the same in Colorado? Just kind of elaborate on the whole farmers, grain, the relationship, that whole thing that some people not into craft whiskeys wouldn't know.
So currently, Colorado doesn't have any law about labeling something a Colorado spirit. Hopefully, we will add those laws in, but we don't have that law right now. But 100% of the grain in every product that we make comes from Colorado. 100% Colorado, 100% grain to glass. And 100% of our grain comes from Olander Farms root shoot malting. So Olander Farms is a family farm. They control about 10,000 acres, and they are primarily root shoot malting. They primarily provide malted barley to craft breweries throughout the state of Colorado.
Okay.
And we found them when we were looking for rye, because it was important to us to have rye in both our high rye bourbon, but our straight bourbon as well. And there's not a lot of rye grown in Colorado, because for most farmers, rye is actually a weed. So once you establish rye will just proliferate everywhere. And if you have rye mixed in with your barley or rye mixed in with your hay, it's a problem. It causes it to be worth less money.
Huh.
And so we found root shoot malting Olander Farms, and they were producing rye, and we said, hey, let's work with you guys. And they're able to provide our rye, our corn, and our barley. So they're fantastic farming partners.
That's awesome. I like it when I hear about that there's a real relationship between the distillers and the farmers. Brings you back to that old town feeling, of people with different things that they kind of have a trade-off to help each other succeed, with that small town, like that small village, everybody helps kind of a thing. Everybody plays a part. You care about your neighbor, that kind of old town feeling. I love hearing about that.
Oh yeah. It's, it was important to us to be 100% Colorado, right? Could we get a lot cheaper grain just buying grain off of the market? For sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But, we support our farmers because we want to have sustainable Colorado product. We don't want to just buy, bulk grain that we don't know where it came from. I mean, most rye whiskey comes from rye that was produced in Canada, because that's where rye is typically grown. And so 95% or more of the rye that you're drinking out there comes from Canadian rye. It was important to us to have a Colorado rye in our spirits.
Awesome. And I greatly appreciate that, because a lot of things that get mass produced, I think the quality level lessens, and it also takes away from the kind of relationships we were just talking about, like the relationship with BourBen here. What's up, BourBen?
What's up?
Whiskey
Hey.
Uncensored.
How you doing?
If you're not
Cheers.
subscribed,
Cheers, man.
hey, drop that link. I'm a cheers with you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. I don't have any Molly Brown at the moment, but
Well, we can make that change.
I was gonna say you're about to, because we got 4 giveaways, and you have 100% chance of winning all 4 of them right now. It's from I tell you what.
all right. So question, I've got 3 questions queued up just in case you don't get more people.
Hot dang.
Oh, sounds fantastic.
All right. So first one is, you mentioned your giant pot still.
Yes, sir.
As we have a friend who's headed to Ireland tomorrow. He's huge in Irish whiskey. She was in the chat before. I don't know if she's still here. Yeah. Where did that? And you said a lot about repurposing and recycling. Where did that? Does that giant still have a history? Well,
it wasn't a still before we got it. It was a dairy tank, and so we.
So it's got a history.
Like I said, it was
utterly got a history.
It was built sometime in the late 40s, early 50s, and it served its life in Wisconsin dairies. And at some point, they didn't need it anymore, and it got retired to a scrapyard. And we saved it from the scrapyard, and we brought it to the distillery. And we did what we needed to do for the still. We actually added 2 heat exchangers inside. So everything we do at the distillery is steam fired, right? So added steam to water heat exchangers that we built ourselves, and then added, agitators to it, added our columns to it, and turned it into our pot still. What's really fun about this particular, in all three of the tanks, so we have our fermenter, we have a second fermenter, and then we have the pot still that we made out of these 3 6,000-gallon dairy tanks. So they're stainless steel on the inside and they're carbon steel on the outside. And then they have a layer of insulation in between the stainless and the carbon steel. And they were built so long ago that they didn't have fiberglass insulation. They have a unique insulation material. You guys want to take a guess as to what it is?
Asbestos.
Asbestos, a lot of people say that. And what'd you say, cotton?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's neither of those.
Air?
Air
No, isn't it? If you're a chemie, air is a very good insulator.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
and even better than air is a vacuum, as we know with the Stanley flask. But it wasn't any of those. A lot of people are like, oh, maybe it's horsehair or shredded paper or whatever. But what it is it's actually cork. So there's a 2-inch layer of cork in between the inner stainless and the outside carbon steel. So that was
I would not have guessed that.
So that's interesting. Yeah. You have the largest pot still, but not the largest copper pot still. It's a very interesting thing. I've never heard of a pot still that was not copper.
Yeah, and copper is the material of convenience and material of tradition, right? Mm-hmm. So we used copper forever because we could work copper. The copper age came before the Bronze Age, came before the Iron Age. And, we used it because it was easy. But copper is not the ideal material to make stills out of. And because I have a chemical engineering background, I chose stainless, one, because, it's the best material. And stainless has one drawback, right? So when you're fermenting and the yeast are eating the sugar and making all the good alcohol that we like and the other good flavors, they're making thousands of chemical compounds. Yeah. Some of them we like, some of them we don't. One of which are thiols, sulfur-based compounds, and sulfur smells and tastes like eggs and skunk. And that's a bad flavor, and you don't want that in your spirits. And copper has a unique product, a unique ability that copper is able to grab onto those thiols and change them so that you don't have thiols anymore. It removes the thiols. And so if you don't have copper as the material of your still, you have a problem with thiols. So what we do is in our column above our still, it's packed with copper. So much copper that we have more surface area on the copper in our column than if our still was fully made of copper. So we have 10 times more surface area of copper in our column. So we're able to remove all those thiols even though we don't have a copper still. All
right. So you mentioned it a couple of times.
Yes.
Where'd you get your ChemE?
So I did undergrad at Mississippi State and grad school at the University of Colorado.
All right. CE Brooklyn Poly. So
hey, cheers.
Hey, Bourbon, greatly appreciate you jumping on.
Yep.
Troy Man says you can't let bourbon win. Steven says really cool to hear about your grains. It's a huge plus. Yes, that's why I love talking to craft distilleries. They're passionate about their product, and they have interpersonal relationships with all the people that they deal with, and they give us whiskey enthusiasts what we're missing when we're just talking about the bigger labels. If I don't win one, I'll be looking to purchase one soon. Steven, as I said in the beginning, you guys have to jump on to get into the raffle. So if you guys want to ask a question on screen, you're going to be in the raffle. Because right now, BourBen is winning it all. I'm just saying.
Hey, Mark, go get your phone quick.
No, go ahead, buddy.
All right.
You said you had one more. Y'all let you do
I got a couple more. I mean, they keep pouring, but I don't want to take
Just
over
roll.
either.
We'll do it.
All right. So, I mean, you talked about doing the single barrels. Those are cast strength, right? When you do those?
Yes, sir. Yep.
But every other product you have is proof down, right?
Correct. Yep.
What's your preference? Cast strength or proof?
So I always enjoy cast strength because you get to choose your proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't like it at 125, add a little water and figure out which proof you like. Generally for everyday sipping and just enjoying the spirit longer term. Listen, this is my second pour tonight, and I will drink my spirit quickly. And if this was cast strength, I would be, double down. So I think that the high rye bourbon that I make drinks best at 90 proof, just for ease of palate and for enjoying it long term. But if I'm out there purchasing spirit and I want to see what it's all about, cast strength's the way to go, and then you proof it down as you like.
Excellent.
How about yourself?
I don't have any whiskey. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's all rum back there.
Yeah, right. It varies. I mean, I love cast strength. I love tasting everything it's got to offer, but at the same time, there is something that sometimes a little water can bring out of a spirit that you won't get otherwise. So It's kind of, it's both. And I do a lot of proofing of my own stuff, and a lot of people in this community, especially, are just drinking a cast strength. Sometimes I have a pick I recently did myself, and honestly, I think it holds up at 100 proof versus the 130 we got it at.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. I mean, water definitely opens up the spirit more.
Mm-hmm.
And is it great to enjoy it at cast strength? For sure. But even when I have cast strengths, I don't always drink them at cast strength. It's you get to pick the proof.
100%. Yeah, I have a lot of high proofs that they're good straight, but some of them they bring out this crazy vanilla and strawberries and crazy flavors. If you just pour it over an ice cube, that you do not get that flavor if you just drink it straight, even though it's good
100%.
straight. You bring out such, like, on the lighter spectrum, you bring out a lot of those flavors. If you add a drop of water, add an ice cube. But like BourBen was saying, when it comes to the online whiskey enthusiasts, there's a lot of what we call proof whores, to where they say if it's not barrel strength, they don't want it.
Yeah, I just have to say,
that's all right. To each their own.
Let's see that 5-gallon come and go jug again.
Oh, that is the come and go cum guzzler.
Hey, so I love that you said that, because about 15 years ago, Come and Go had a contest to name their big gulp, right? Their 64-ounce thing. And I submitted the name Cum Guzzler for that name. And
I mean, I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but that's sure what I call it.
Hey,
but that's a good reminder to drink water.
Right there.
Yes. There you go. But it is also sponsored by our good buddy Egg Roll.
Oh,
our buddy Dan's from the community. That's his dog. So, got to shout out the Egg Roll. Egg Roll reminds you to hydrate.
Yep. Gotta hydrate. Thank you, Egg Roll. And thank you, BourBen. I'm going to kick you off. You're going to just spin around that revolving door until
you got somebody else?
And your mom's got to kick you off. Yep.
All right, bye.
Hey, I'm adding you to the wheel, buddy. Appreciate you jumping on. Steven's in the house. What's up, Steven?
Steven,
what's going on? What's up?
Hey, good to see you, man.
So I really like the oh yeah, I got something.
Clink.
Actually, it's a Buffalo Trace store pick.
Oh, store picks are the way
Trace.
to go. Yep. Store picks are the way to go with Buffalo Trace.
Picked it up today. It's pretty good. Not bad. So you get all your grains from Colorado?
Yes, sir. Root Shoot Malting, Olander Farms, 100%.
Nice. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Really like that. What other questions I got? How old is your whiskey?
So currently, the youngest product that we have out there is almost 5 years, so 4.5 years.
That ain't bad. That's pretty damn good. Yeah.
If the youngest you're putting out is 4.5 years, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that we're going to stabilize somewhere around 5 years. I feel that bourbon really hits its own between 4 and 7 years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You get more than 7 years and you start getting too oaky, it becomes unbalanced there. And everybody likes to talk about Pappy and it's 20 years old. And those are bourbons that weren't made on purpose. You get a 600,000 barrel rickhouse, and sometimes barrels get lost. And then you find, oh hell, this set of barrels been sitting here for 20 years. What do we do with it? Oh, I know. We'll slap a fun name, Pappy Van Winkle, on it, and somebody will buy it.
Yeah, I kind of wonder sometimes if they don't like, well, this is a bad barrel. Let's age it some more. And see if it turns out good, and then we'll release it. I don't know.
That's 100% what happens.
This one ain't good. Let's age it some more and see if it turns out all right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. All right, awesome. Hey, Steven, I've got you on the wheel, buddy. You have entered the raffle. I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, man, no problem.
So stay tuned. In a little bit here, we're gonna spin the wheel and do the raffle giveaway.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
jump on, folks. Ask me some questions. Ask me what kind of car I drive. Somebody said I drove a Pinto earlier, which is not true.
Well, I know that wasn't Indpndt Joe.
It might have been. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, cheers, brother.
Cheers. It's bad luck to do it without on an empty glass. What is in your glass? I mean, probably obviously your whiskey. So cheers.
Yep.
Cheers. I don't believe in that bad luck on an empty glass bullshit. Cheers if you cheers.
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 Well, that will probably influence what this question will influence what I put in this glass. So prior to being a distiller, what was something that you would have as your Friday night pour or your go-to pour, one of your go-to pours for maybe one of your relaxing days off or anything like that?
Great question, and I already alluded to it a little earlier. Buff Trace, standard Buff Trace, I think is it's the epitome of bourbon. That's always my call. In the past few years, since Buff Trace has gotten a lot more popular, it's gotten a little more expensive, but I think Buff Trace is always a good call.
Any guilty pleasures, like something you would buy that was maybe something a little more special, something not like a Buffalo Trace. If it was something different, like, because I mean a lot of people have
special occasion.
Like a special occasion, like your Friday night pour, something that you're like, I can't wait, because this is one of those pours that I have that's just something that I don't want to drink it too often, because if I do, then that might make me want to buy another bottle, and it's not easy to come at.
So I'm not super bougie, and
okay.
I really don't chase bottles, and here's why.
Okay.
When you start to get into these more exclusive, expensive bottles, they're kind of one-offs, right? It's like sometimes it might be good, sometimes it might be bad. And as a bourbon drinker, I want something that's consistent. And so I cut my teeth on bourbon in the mid to late 90s, and that was kind of like the lowest point in bourbon. And we would just go into the liquor store and we would buy whatever. And so you could get 12 years.
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
You get-
and I was doing that too at some point.
12-year-old Elijah Craig was like $15 a bottle. And so I bought anything and everything.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that, there's a lot of variety out there. But if you want consistency, Buff Trace is consistent. They don't have Buff Trace. I'm gonna say some words and people are gonna be like, oh, what? Listen, Jim Beam, Jim Beam White, you put that into any blind taste. Always put some Jim Beam in there, and it's always in the top 50%. Is it the best star? No, it's not. But it hits all the things that make bourbon, and it's very consistent. So I like some
Jim Beam is in my top 4 distilleries. So I mean, that's not like a. It's not
right.
bad.
So you and I are on the same page, and
Well,
so
with Bakers and Knob Creek, I mean, there's a lot of great products they put out.
Yeah, I just got a book. I just got another Booker's today. So I mean,
Booker's fantastic, but Old Crow is a decent bourbon, and that's I probably drank more Old Crow in my undergrad years than anything else.
Yeah, it's a really decent $20 1.75 liter plastic bottle.
Exactly. So yeah,
it's true though.
I'm not going to throw any of those big $100 bottles out there, because I think that, are there some that's good and that you taste them, they're fantastic? Yes, 100%. And I enjoy those, but they're not consistent. And I prefer consistency over, getting a unicorn.
Now, if you had to compare your whiskey to any other distillery as far as flavor profile, taste, like just mouthfeel, everything, like what would you put it close to as? Like
okay, so for inspiration, I Buff Trace and Austin Nichols Wild Turkey 101. That's what I drew as that's what I drew as inspiration for making my high rye bourbon. We're different for sure, because we have a different process, and I feel like we've got deeper flavors and more caramel and more chocolate. But those are the things that I like to drink, and that's what I drew as inspiration when I was starting to make Molly Brown. Okay.
And as far as you said, you have high rye bourbons. Do you have are your ryes corn? You got high corn rye whiskeys, or is it just mostly rye?
Currently we have 2 mash bills. Is our straight bourbon, which is 75 corn, 17 rye, the remainder is malted barley, and the high rye, which is 51 corn, 35 rye, the remainder is malted barley. I want to make rye whiskeys. I want to make millet whiskeys. I want to make a lot of other stuff, but here's the Achilles heel of having the largest pot still in the United States of America is it costs a lot of money to charge that still, right? So it's hard for me to play around with mash bills, because I'm putting in many tens of thousands of dollars every time I run that still. So right now we've got our core mash bills, and we're hoping to be able to do some other fun stuff in the future.
Like, are you thinking of any types of finishings or anything like that?
Yeah, so we do some finishes, and the next single barrel select we have out is going to be an amaretto barrel finish.
Okay.
So that one's a lot of fun. You get that extra extra taste from the amaretto. We've done a Madeira finish twice, and those came out really well, because Madeira just works really well with bourbon. So the amaretto, that's all my partner Steve. So I haven't talked much about Steve. So I actually have Molly Brown is a family-owned distillery. We have 4 families that are involved, and Steve DeGrucio is my day-to-day partner, but I also have John Jakimick and Kevin Spradling. Those are my silent partners, and then my dad, Mike Lee, he's involved as well. So that's everybody that's involved. And Steve is a veteran, so he's U.S. Army, and he is a big fan of amaretto. So the amaretto finish is all on Steve. This is Steve's baby, and he's been asking for it for a long time, and we're happy. We're so happy to be making that right now.
Do you guys do you guys toast your barrels, char them, or how do you? Yeah, go ahead.
So we work with Indpndt Stave Company, and they provide our barrels. A char 3 is what we work with.
Oh, nice.
And then our finishes are whatever the barrels came with. So if like the Madeira, it just came from being dumped from Madeira, and the amaretto was just dumped from amaretto.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Joe, dude, thanks for jumping on and asking a bunch of questions. I've added you to the wheel of names, and so your name is on there. You have a very high chance of winning some good stuff in a few minutes here.
Gotcha.
Cheers, Joe.
Appreciate you, Joe.
Cheers on an empty glass.
That's flashback humor. BourBen is in the house.
Troy! Cheers,
hello,
brother.
hello. Cheers. Clink.
There we go.
Joe just stole my question. I was going to ask you about your barrels. Thanks, Joe.
Wait, did he mention where you got your cooperage from?
Indpndt Stave.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Troy's paying attention.
I was listening.
That's right. That's right. Got it.
So about the barrels, I want to know the process you went through to get to the point where you're doing the Indpndt Staves, Indpndt Stave Company, just so people know, and then the Char 3. Like, was that just a flavor profile that you found worked best with your distillate, or was that just what came in first and you liked it and it worked? I don't know.
Sure. So we'll talk about the char first, right? So forever, there's only been 3 chars, chars 1, 2, and 3, and there was toasts, and toasts are mostly for wine. And then about 10 years ago, we got to a char 4, which is what I like to call a cheater char. A char 4 is going to give you more color. That's going to give you a little bit more extract, a little bit more flavor initially. And then now we have a char 5, which is nuts. It just pushes it, because aging is a two cycle process. One is the extracts that you're getting from the barrel, right? What you're pulling out of the barrel. So you're getting color, you're getting tannins, you're getting vanillins, you're getting sugars. That's something that you're pulling out of the barrel. But aging is also a chemical process that goes on with the oxygen that I talked about this a little bit earlier. Oxygen is reacting with other chemical compounds. And so if you get to these level 4 and level 5 chars, or if you go with a smaller barrel, like a 10-gallon, 5-gallon barrel, you're getting a lot more extract from the barrel, and it looks like an older bourbon, but you're not getting that chemical process that goes on that actually gives you a smooth bourbon. And so you get an unbalanced bourbon from these deeper chars and these smaller barrels. So I think char 3 is where a bourbon should be to get the proper flavor profile over 4 to 7 years. So that's why I stick with the char 3. Again, my background's in chemical engineering, so I've looked at the different char levels and where the extracts are versus the aging and the mellowing of the bourbon.
Right.
Why are we with Indpndt Stave Company? Well, I'm sure that everybody knows that, there are only so many cooperages in the United States.
Right.
And especially during COVID, it was very difficult to get barrels. And until just, in the past 12 months, it's been very difficult to get barrels. And now the barrel market is loosening up somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
And Independent Stave was always able to provide us barrels and consistent good barrels. We were with another cooperage before Independent Stave, and I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to, put anything bad about these guys out there. They were trying, but we got some shitty barrels from them, and shitty barrels cost us product. Yep. And it's especially as a small distillery. I mean, if you're a huge distillery, you lose 4 or 5 barrels, it doesn't matter. With us, that matters a lot. And so we had to step away from those guys, and we worked with Independent Stave, and they've been very good to us. And they give us a nice consistent barrel. I think you've heard me use the word consistent a lot of times tonight, because that's what we're in the business for, is making a consistent product. And we want people to know that, hey, you get a bottle of Molly Brown this week, this month, this year, it's going to be the same.
That's nice. Okay. Yeah, the consistency thing was what I was really thinking of when I was starting to ask about Independent Stave, just because they have a very consistent product, and it seems like a lot of people are turning to them for that consistency, where there's other coopers out there that are doing some more experimental stuff. And when you're doing, the size you're doing, 5 barrels may be, the evaporation loss on a single day for like a Jack Daniels, but
100%,
it's going to be a big deal. So I do appreciate that. It's really cool. Okay, last question. What kind of car do you drive?
So that's funny. I have lots of cars. Only some of them are in drivable condition. So that's my other passion, is actually working on cars. And I have a problem. I'll cruise Craigslist and drag home miscreant cars.
Oh no.
But so what's currently in the fleet that's drivable? So we have so our daily drivers are Hyundais, right?
Okay.
So apparently we like people to steal our cars. So we have a 2019 Hyundai Elantra that my wife drives. And I used to have a 2012 Hyundai Accent, but it got stolen. And it was replaced with a 2013 Hyundai Veloster. But I also regularly drive a really old Suburban, like a 2002 Suburban. That's my work pig. And my fun car to drive, which I haven't driven in quite a while, I have a 96 S10, which has a LT1 from a Corvette.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I like to play around with that. In the stable that's not drivable, I've got a 69 MG Midget. I got a 81 280ZX.
Damn.
So I've got some cars that I play around with.
That's awesome.
Troy, man, you are on the wheel.
Thank you,
I
Mark.
appreciate you, my friend. As
Cheers,
always.
Troy.
Cheers, Justin. Nice to meet you. We'll be
Pleasure.
buying some of your whiskey.
Cheers, buddy.
Come on down.
All right, so we have added Troy Man to the wheel, and we are welcoming Badass Bobby Bourbon to the chat. Bobby, welcome. Air Force veteran. He's an active firefighter and just an all-around badass. And so any of the moderators want to drop some
Badass Bourbon.
We want to drop some links in the chat to Whiskey Uncensored, Badass Bourbon, Indpndt Joe, Whiskey Wine 101. Lots of great other whiskey channels in the house. Go ahead, drop some links. Greatly appreciate all of you guys. Right now, Justin, are you ready for another question?
I am. And so I actually just got a text from somebody that's watching on my end. He
Oh, nice.
reminded me that I have another car in the stable. It's a 1958 Chevy 6200 grain truck, which
Oh,
lives
wow.
in the back of the distillery. Yeah, his name is Boris.
Boris. Dude, Boris is a great name. I don't know if I've ever seen one grain truck. That's super cool. That's not the most common classic car you see going around, you know.
Yeah,
That's
for
super
sure.
cool. B Bowers in the house. What's up?
Hey,
What's up, brother? Cheers.
cheers, Joe. I got a beer going, but cheers, Joe.
Hey, love the shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. What's your favorite Atari console?
I had the classic growing up. I don't know the model number offhand.
What was the classic?
The two joysticks with the orange button.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
played
2600.
Yeah,
I
played
played
some.
Joust.
A lot of Dig Dug.
Oh, love the Dig Dug.
Dig Dug and Pango, I think, were like the two I played the most.
Nice.
I played Joust, Space Invaders, Missile Command, Super Breakout.
Yeah, Super Breakout. That was definitely a go-to. That's when you had the little wheel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was your flagship, right? Did you just come with the two mash bills? Did you lead with the high rye? Did you lead with the bourbon?
Yeah, we released them both at the same time. Like, again, the reason I make bourbon is to make the high rye bourbon. But I know that not everybody is a fan of rye. And more importantly, when a lot of people see the word rye, they run away. They're like, oh, I can't drink rye. And so I developed the bourbon as an offshoot of the rye, and we did a lot of taste tests with people, and we figured out what mash bill we wanted for the straight bourbon, and so that's kind of like our two sisters there.
That's what was going to be the second half of that. Was there any other mash bills that you kind of played around with that you were like, all right, this is good, but it's not what we want to put out or what we're doing right now?
100%. Yeah, we tested a lot of mash bills, and we took some feedback from people, and that's what we settled upon.
Is the next plan the rye?
Oh, like a straight rye? Just like, yeah, I would love to do that. Rye is an interesting mistress because she has a lot of a protein called beta glucan in it, and it's very sticky. And so it's very hard to work with, but I love the flavors that come from rye, and we definitely want to make that happen.
Okay. So like with less air, right? And your atmosphere, are you seeing like 5 years, 5.5 represents more of like a 4 year? Like what is is there a conversion to aging there?
Not really. I mean, so especially with our product, and I haven't touched on this yet, but when you're distilling, right? Everybody knows like the heads, the hearts, and the tails, I assume.
Yeah.
And typically when most people make bourbon and whiskey in general, they want to keep between 90 and 95% of the total alcohol made as hearts, and then they reject 5 to 10% as heads and tails. For us, we follow a different philosophy. We only keep about 50% of that alcohol as hearts and then reject the rest as heads and tails. And so like our white dog, our bourbon, our unfinished bourbon, when it goes into the barrels, it's super smooth and drinkable when it goes into the barrel. And so for us in particular, like 1 year in the barrel is equal to like 3 years or 4 years in a barrel for most people, because we don't need that oxygen to react with the chemicals, because we've already separated out the chemicals. And so all we have is the good flavors there. And so what we're doing is we're just getting the barrel flavor into there. And so could we make a fucking awesome bourbon with a little bitty barrel? For sure. Like 1 year of our bourbon in a 5-gallon barrel would be equivalent to like a 5-year-old bourbon, but we don't want to do that. So we stick our awesome bourbon in a big barrel and we let it get good. And so I think that you can put our 3-year bourbon up against a 5 or a 7-year-old bourbon of anybody else on the market.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, as far as maybe like opening up more because of the atmospheric pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have less pressure, so it's allowing it to, I'm sure, you know, on the chemical side, you know, what it's actually doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Hey, B. Bauer, I got you on the wheel. You've got a great percentage chance of winning so far, my friend. And if you want to hang out in the backstage after we do the raffle, we're gonna remove the filters. Uncut.
Yeah. Just push me in the back.
All right, buddy. Oh goodness. All right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Marvin was in the background, but it looks like he had to go to bed. Whiskey Wine 101. He said, Justin, it's nice to hear about your distillery. I missed half of the live. I'll catch up on the replay. Good night. Whiskey Wine 101. Drop that link. Any moderators out there? Great channel. But it looks like he had to turn in before he got to jump on and ask a question because I saw him in the backstage for a bit there. Let's see. Like I told you, Justin, I had some questions written down because I didn't want to burn my questions for the people joining us tonight. I didn't want to ask their questions for them. One of the questions that didn't get asked is how many people are in your crew?
Oh, my crew. All right. Well, again, let's talk about the ownership. There's 5 human beings, 4 families, so that's the ownership side of Molly Brown. So 4 different families. The day-to-day operations, that's myself and that's Steve. Like that's what we do.
Okay.
And then we have our tasting room side, which all badass ladies. Like you came to the tasting room, you saw the menu, you know what we're about.
Yeah.
Like all of our cocktails are named about badass women, right?
Yep.
And that's what
you have a very fun menu. You do.
We want to promote the ladies in spirits. And so I've got so current and we'll call them retired. I have 5 ladies that are just so fucking awesome in the tasting room. We got Erin, who you met. Yeah.
Yep. Great bartender, knowledgeable about your product, seems to really care about what's going on in house. Good representative. Yep.
100%. So we got Erin, we got Meg, we got Braylon, got Bree. Got all the ladies that just love Molly Brown and are 100% Molly Brown and help that they are forward facing, right? So they take care of Molly Brown. So that's our crew. That's our entire crew. And
so in your full-time staff, there's only 7 of you. Is that what I just got?
Well, full-time staff, it's just myself and Steve.
So full-time staff is you and Steve. Part-time staff is the 5 ladies. So there's 7 people that work there pretty much.
Yeah. And then I'm not going to discount the fact that all of our bottling is volunteer. So we have the whole Molly Brown crew that comes out. And whenever we bottle, we blow the horn and we say, hey, come on out and help us. And we do a staff of between 12 and 16 people on a bottling day. And, everybody comes in, we bottle, and everybody gets to walk away with a bottle. So we have a huge volunteer staff for that. And then at events, we have volunteers. And we're also, again, Molly Brown is a family. And so actually my socials, my website, they're run by my very best friends, the Fords. So Davey and Alyssa Ford, they take care of all of our socials and our website. So that's the Molly Brown family right there.
Love it. I think I've got 2 questions that didn't get burned by the audience. One is, how many barrels per day are you producing right now?
So we have the capability to produce 28 barrels a day. So sometimes we max that capability out, because not only do we make Molly Brown, but we actually make Colorado spirits for 5 other distilleries in the state of Colorado.
Okay, so you source out.
Yes, so we don't source anything for ourselves, but if a distillery in the state of Colorado wants to make a Colorado product, we have the ability to make that, when sometimes they don't, because they might have a small place. And so we have a huge production facility, and we're able to utilize that to make Colorado product, because, as you know, most craft distilleries don't actually craft anything. They purchase shit from MGP and they throw a label on it and they say, hey, this is our stuff. So people who
they're non-distilling producers, and it hurts my heart when they call themselves craft, because they don't craft shit. But yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So people who actually want to say that they have a Colorado product, we make it for them.
Okay. Sourcing out, totally get it. And my last question, that one of our fantastic audience, freaking love you guys for being here. You guys have been just a blast to hang out and drink with tonight in this whiskey community. The last question that I wanted to ask is, what was your biggest mistake?
Wow. So my biggest mistake was having a 3-year business plan that started in 2017 that culminated with us launching our brand in April of 2020. I don't know if that date means anything to most people, but that was shit timing.
Oh man, see, I don't see that as a mistake on your part, though. You know what I mean? Like, having your release date come out during the height of the COVID lockdown, I don't see that as your bad. You know what I mean? Like, was there something that you tried out that just turned out wrong and was like a financial loss, or you were just like, scrap it, like that was a terrible idea? Like, something that if you could go back in time, you'd tell yourself not to do, aside from coming out during the lockdown.
Oh, I feel that. So this is actually my second distillery, right? I mentioned that I had one before that.
Yeah.
So that was a huge mistake. Being a 50-50 partner with anything in any business venture is a horrible idea. As far as products are concerned, I mean, we only have 3 products at Molly Brown. I think.
Hold on. Are you saying that every ship needs a captain?
100%. That's exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So 50-50 partners don't work because every ship needs a captain. I feel that to the core. Gotcha.
All day long.
Yeah.
Put my name on it. Yes.
Nice. I totally see that. I love you sharing that with us, because anybody that knows anything about leadership or business or management, you can take away so much from how little he just said. There's a ton going on right there. And with that, without further ado, we're going to go on to the Wheel of Names and get on to this raffle. How you feel about that?
Let's roll it. Come on now.
Let's freaking do it. Share the screen. I'm going to pull up the revolving Wheel of Names. Where are you at? There you are. Let's bring you up front, buddy. Let's see if I can make this a more optimal size.
Hey, let's
All
do
right,
this
so
again
we
and
have
get, like,
what's up?
I said, let's do this again sometime and get like 50 people on that wheel.
Oh, dude, that'd be a blast. Absolutely. All right, so hold on. Let me take this off real quick, because I want to kind of break it down for our audience. All you guys still watching, there's a lot of people still watching live. I appreciate you guys. So I have this great bottle of Molly Brown straight whiskey, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour two 2-ounce samples for a winner twice, because I feel like whiskey is made to be shared with friends. That's why we're doing this live. And so I'm going to send you two 2-ounce samples so you can pour it with a friend. And so Justin here has graciously offered to share some things, and I'm going to let him go first. What do you want to throw up on the first raffle wheel?
Well, like we talked about earlier, like I was also going to give 2 things out. And so one was a set of Molly Brown rocks glasses.
Nice.
Branded. And the other is a Molly Brown t-shirt. But since we only have 5 people on the wheel, like we can't let one person go home a loser. So I'm going to throw in a Molly Brown hat as well.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So everybody's a winner tonight.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. I greatly appreciate you doing that, Justin. That's very gracious of you. And so what is the first person going to receive?
The set of Molly Brown rocks glasses.
Oh, that's that. Oh, dude. Pick me. Oh, wait, I'm not on the wheel. Damn it. All right, so the rocks glasses, which I think is probably the best. B. Bauer, dude, Bill.
Hey, cheers, B. Bauer.
All right, so let me write that down because I'm going to forget. So.
And you do have to pick these up at the distillery.
Okay.
Just
I was like, I'm in. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be in Colorado is. I'll probably be there sometime within the next 12 months. But no, we'll get their shipping info, and I can help with that. So the next one, you're going to get 2 samples from me of the Molly Brown straight bourbon, and I'll send that to BourBen. I've got a box going out to you anyway. Nice.
Hey, apropos, Bourbon gets the Bourbon.
All right, so I'm sending 2 samples to BourBen. Let's take him off the wheel. Now we've only got 3 left. Now, what's the next one?
Oh, so let's give out the
shirt?
t-shirt. Yeah.
All right, so t-shirt.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the comments on the side. Richie Z was asking a question.
Indpndt Joe gets a shirt.
Indpndt Joe. Shirt for you. Hey, tell us what size you need.
Right on. Hold on. So does Justin know and talk to the Colorado like laws? Woody Creek, Breckenridge, Old Elk.
100%. So yeah. I know everybody in that question. Laws, they're a little bougie. They don't come to events anymore. But Woody Creek, Breckenridge, and Old Elk on a regular basis. We see one another at events, and Laws still, you know, they're working up the ladder, so I get it, you know. But we're all a family here in Colorado, 100%. And it's not us against each other. It's us against the Brown Formans and the Diageos, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. So next winner, I'm going to send another sample pack of 2 2-ounce samples of the Molly Brown straight bourbon whiskey, which I've been enjoying all night long. And I'll send that to Troy Man.
Yeah, Troy Man.
And so that means that Steven...
You get a hat, son.
So, Steven, you get a Molly Brown hat, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming out tonight and asking me questions. And even if you didn't ask a question, just participating and watching. It's very humbling to feel that anybody would be interested in hearing what I have to say. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh, I appreciate you being here. I do want to give you a second. Is there anything about Molly Brown that you feel like we didn't ask, or something that is special about you guys that you didn't get to share tonight? I want to give you, a minute to say like something else that didn't come up tonight.
Wow, I mean, I think we covered everything, so I'll just cover the basics again, if that's cool.
Oh,
so yeah. I mean, 100% Colorado, 100% grain to glass. Like, we source nothing. We start with the grain. We mill it ourselves. We ferment on the grain. We have the largest pot still in the United States of America. We distill on the grain. We only age in full-size 53-gallon American charred oak barrels.
Yep.
We are 100% family-owned. We're veteran-owned. We do not fuck around with anything, and we love everybody that loves our bourbon.
Oh, dude. Well said. Well said. Justin, we've been chatting back and forth via email for like a few weeks now. I'm glad we were able to finally work this out.
Hey, me too.
I want to say to the live audience watching us live right now, if you want to come in and join in the backstage shenanigans, we're going to cut off the live stream and get a little uncut, unfiltered for a little bit. So if you want to come and join us, go ahead and click that join button, and I'll bring you on after we end the live stream. But for those watching the replay, I'm going to go back and watch this video later and add in hyperlinks so you can fast forward to different parts of the conversations we had tonight. That way, if you want to go to a certain context, a certain topic, you don't have to search around. You're going to have hyperlinks in the video description. And we're the only people on YouTube that do that. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do without this audience participation. So I appreciate all you guys being here, and look forward to the next episode when we have another distiller on to get their perspective of what's going on in the whiskey industry and what's going on with them and theirs. I'm going to solo you for just a second, Justin, if you have anything you want to close off with.
Oh, seriously, just cheers to you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. I appreciate you coming out tonight and love you all. Cheers.
All right. Cheers to that. All right. Like I said, you guys have a few more seconds to join us before we end the live. And I just want to thank you again for joining us, Justin. It's been a blast getting to know a little bit more about Molly Brown. I'm really glad that just the stars aligned in the right way to where I was able to, be just down the street from you guys and come and enjoy your whiskey and chat with Aaron, and the things lined up for us to be on the show tonight together. So I just want to thank you, and cheers to you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love it, brother. Cheers.
All right. And with that, we're going to call it a night. We're going to get back into the men's room. If one of you guys want to join us, you hop on. Good night.